What's up, guys? Welcome back to Avys Designs. My name's Mike. Today I wanted to do a shop tour. I know this is a popular thing. I know that I personally enjoy looking at other people's shops and learning from other people's shops. That's one of the reasons that I want to do this video, so that you guys can experience my shop a little bit more detail than what are in some of my videos, and so that I can get your guys' advice on what I currently have and how I'm currently set up, and you know, what you guys might suggest I add or subtract or whatever. Another reason I want to do this is just for my personal, cataloging of my current situation. I've been in I'd say one other shop, in my previous house, and so I've moved to this shop. I've been here for maybe 4 months, so this is fairly new for me. This space is fairly new for me. I've added some things and trying to get a good feel for this shop. So personally, I wanted this video. The other reason is because I have some future projects that I have planned for this shop, and I wanted to gauge your guys' interest on those, get your guys' advice on some future projects, and see what your guys' thoughts are. So let's get started with this shop tour. Alright guys, so a couple of pieces of information about this shop. This is a detached garage. I just measured it. It's just about 23 feet by 23 feet. Obviously it's got the garage door, and this space, like I said, I've moved here, been here for maybe 4 months, and this space was previously, I believe, set up to be a pretty serious shop. We'll get to it in a second, but there's a furnace in this garage, and there's a breaker panel that is for this detached garage that has two 40-volt wired in some of these outlets. I don't think it works anymore, but you can see some labels from some guy in the past. He's got labels for compressor, he's got labels for bench grinders and all this other stuff. And then there's also these fluorescent tube lights across the entire ceiling. I know that sometimes it's not super bright, but it's definitely better than like a little single light bulb. The one thing is, right now it's summertime and it's like 1,000 degrees, and so it hasn't been an issue, but there's really no insulation in this place. The roof rafters are exposed, and there's not a lot of insulation, so the winter time is going to be tough, because where I live in the Midwest, it gets really cold in the winter. So we'll see how that goes when it start getting cold. I do have like a portable heater that I've used in the past, but it eats up energy, and it's expensive to run, and it heats a little space decently, but we'll see how it goes when it gets cold. But anyway, I wanted to start with this wall. This is the wall that you guys see probably most often, or at least where I work at the most. We'll start with this chair. I picked this up in the garbage on garbage day one day, and super comfortable. It rolls around. One of my projects that I wanted to get to a while ago, I have a stool that we don't really have use for anymore. It's got a nice padded back. I had an old office chair that I would roll around in. I need something on casters, and I had some casters from my table saw that I replaced with better casters, so I was going to try to fuse the casters that I have onto this stool, and then try to like bolt a chair back to the stool so that I can actually sit and lean back. But I never get around to it because I found this in the garbage, so that's a future project. But that's the chair. The main thing at this wall, I would say, is this bench. I got plans for this bench. This was the first thing I ever built, really. This bench, I got plans off of, I believe it was woodsmith.com. I will put a link to that in the description of this video. I'll try to link a lot of stuff that I have in here that I've gotten elsewhere in the description of this video. But I got the plans for this, and I bought an old Ryobi table saw, portable table saw. I don't advise doing that, by the way. It worked well for about 1.5 years. The motor burnt out. It was still under warranty. I've been waiting for it to get fixed for a long time. Long story, but I used that table saw to build this, and it is awesome. It weighs about 4,000 pounds. I've moved it a couple times with some help from some friends, and they're not happy about moving it, but this top is like 4 layers of MDF laminated together. It's got 2x4s wrapped around the edge, mitered at the corners, and then it's like 2x6 frames. And then it's got these drawers also. This thing, like I said, weighs 1,000 pounds. I added this vise to it. This is a little, I think, 6-inch quick release vise, which is okay. You know, it serves me well. I don't have any dogs in this bench. And the other thing is I don't have access to the other side of it. You know, I can only really work here, which isn't ideal. I would love to have this, you know, out into the garage a little bit, but I haven't done that yet. Something I've thought about, and I'm thinking about building a secondary kind of assembly table that would have a vise with dogs, and maybe like an air filtration fan within the main structure of the table, but that's another future project that I'm not sure about yet. I haven't really set my heart on a plan for it. It would also like to serve as an outfeed table for my table saw, but I haven't gotten around to that. But anyway, I hung some tools on the front of it, on the front of this bench. I got a level right there, just hanging from a nail. I got all my Ryobi tools, so I like Ryobi's hand tools at least. The reason I went with that is because I have a Home Depot that's real close, it's convenient, and Ryobi's cheap, and they work well for me. I'm on a budget, you know, I don't have a ton of money to spend on this type of thing, so I started with Ryobi. I got the Ryobi table saw. Next thing was a drill that I got. I ended up getting an Impact, which has been awesome. I advise doing that, but my first 2 purchases were a Ryobi drill and a Ryobi table saw, and all but the table saw has served me well since. But anyway, I got a jigsaw, circular saw, biscuit joiner, stuff like that stored in there. I have this Harbor Freight random orbital sander in there, which stopped performing a couple weeks ago. I took it back to Harbor Freight and they gave me a brand new one. So it might not be the best tool, but at least they replace it when it breaks, which is cool. It's got these drawers. I used to store, as you can see, or as you have seen, I have all this crap on my bench, which is so not like me. I'm kind of OCD where everything has to have its spot and it has to be in its spot. And I used to have all this stuff in these drawers, which I hated because I hate having to pull these drawers out and find stuff. What I plan on doing is building a tool wall or a tool board or whatever you want to call it. Jay Bates has done it, John Heiss has done it, and I really want to do that. That's one of my next plans. I'm going to build, you know, just probably like a big plywood sheet and replace all this stuff and build individualized holders for some of my tools that I use all the time. But anyway, I have some paper stored in here. All my plans for my previous projects that I've built are all in here, just so I can reference them. Some other little things like Sharpies and stuff. These are all my screws. I get them in just boxes so I can store them nicely in here. I built these little MDF dividers so that, you know, I can organize this a little bit better. Down here I have sandpaper in one section. I got my little Craig jig. I don't know the label of it or whatever, but it's just the one you clamp on the end of the board, along with some Craig screws, and then Ryobi router bits and some other router bits are in there. This is stuff that I don't use super often. And then down here are like manuals for tools. I got belts for my belt sander and some other stuff. This is my sharpening stone. I have it wrapped up in a t-shirt. So that's that. These drawers are okay. I use the plans from Woodsmith. They're not on drawer pulls, so they just kind of ride on like oak runners. And the top couple work okay, but then you know, this is the first thing I ever built, so these drawers aren't perfect and they kind of ride on each other, but you know, they work okay. It's not horrible. But anyway, that's that. I have some clamp storage over here. It's just a half of a 2x4 screwed onto the edge that I clamps to, and I got a hammer hanging from there, but that's pretty much the bench. Over here is my air compressor. It's a Porter cable. I think it's 6-gallon air compressor. I got it refurbished, I think on Amazon. I got a decent deal on it. It wasn't super you know, discounted from regular price, but the drain valve was leaking. It started doing it like last week. I ordered a new drain valve. It looks like a little bit different design, so hopefully this works well. I just got it. It was like 15 bucks to have shipped, so I wasn't super happy about that, but hopefully that fixes the issue. I got that air compressor not too long ago, probably right around when I moved. I got that along with a brad nailer, which is what I wanted it for, and it's been awesome. I recommend doing that if you have the time and the money to spend on one of those. This light I don't really use. It, but it does have a USB hole in there, and I charge my phone with it, which is awesome. And then it's also got like a normal outlet which I can plug like a disc sander into or whatever, so that's pretty convenient. It plugs into the wall right there, which controls this light. This shelf or this cabinet was existing from the previous owner or whatever, so I don't really have anything in there at the moment. I have some plastic shelving that I got a long time ago at Home Depot for like 20 bucks, and I just have a bunch of crap piled on there. On the bottom are my paints and stains and stuff like that. And then some other random stuff, including my drill and impact. I don't really want to have them there. I wish I had a better spot for them. That's probably something in the future that I'll come up with a dedicated spot for them, a neat spot, easy access to pull them out or whatever. So that's all that. This wall, this pegboard was existing from the previous owner or builder or whoever did it. It's nice, it's okay. I can hang some stuff from it. I'm not crazy about it. I used to print a picture of every project that I worked on, and then I just kind of gave up doing that. It was kind of a pain in the ass. And I was gonna post them around and like have a whole wall of all my projects. It's not worth it. That's what Instagram's for. So I'm gonna rip all those down and like I said, build another tool wall. But I got some little signs here, plan ahead, which is something that my grandpa did. He probably didn't invent it, but my grandpa had a sign like that, which I thought was awesome, so I did that a while ago. I just wood burned it along with this hammer. I bought this hammer real cheap somewhere, and like a week later I was ripping out a nail. I picked up a bunch of wood off the side of the street to burn in our fire pit, and I was ripping out a nail and the hammer broke, and I had used it like maybe 20 times, and I was gonna take it back, but I said might as well make something out of it, so I made that sign, which I'm sure you guys have seen. This sign, wood burned this also. It's kind of funny. Maybe not, I don't know. And then I got my brad nailer hanging, which is good. This is kind of like what I want for my drill, because I use my drill all the time. Brad nailer's right there. Take it down, put it back whenever I need it. I got my safety glasses and respirator, clipboard, which I never use. And then I got my pipe clamps stored, just stacked up in the corner, which is okay. They kind of stay in there and they're not in the way. I'd like to have kind of a more dedicated clamp storage area, but that's all fine for now. And then like I said, I got this big furnace, which would have been awesome if it works. It doesn't work, but it's here and kind of in the way. So that's kind of it for this section. Let's move on to the next.